Imagine walking into a pharmacy and buying a medicine that costs $20. You pay at the counter and leave. It seems like a simple transaction, but behind that $20 is a surprisingly complicated economic system. From the outside, a pharmacy looks like an ordinary store. You bring a prescription, the pharmacist prepares your medicine, and you pay. But unlike a normal retail store, pharmacies operate inside the much more complicated world of healthcare. That single bottle of medicine may have traveled through a manufacturer, wholesaler, insurance system, pharmacy benefit manager, and finally the pharmacy. Each organization plays a different role, and each one can affect where the money eventually goes. So when you pay for a prescription, where does that money actually go? It doesn't simply go into the pharmacy's cash register. Money can move through several companies and organizations before the final economics of the transaction are determined. Pharmacies make money from much more than prescription drugs. They may sell over-the-counter medicines, vitamins, beauty products, personal care items, snacks, and other retail products. Some also earn money from healthcare services. But here's the first important lesson: revenue is not profit. A pharmacy might generate $1 million in sales, but that doesn't mean the owner made $1 million. The business still has enormous expenses to pay. Imagine a pharmacy generating $1 million in annual revenue. That sounds impressive, but employees need to be paid. Rent must be covered. Inventory must be purchased. Technology needs maintenance, and many other expenses reduce that revenue before profit appears. Let's start with a single prescription. A patient visits a doctor, explains their problem, and the doctor decides that medication is appropriate. The prescription then begins its journey toward the pharmacy. The prescription arrives at the pharmacy, either electronically or through another approved method. The pharmacy receives the information and begins processing it. But the pharmacist still has several important steps to complete before handing over the medicine. The pharmacist or pharmacy technician enters the prescription into the pharmacy's computer system. The system checks the patient's information, medication details, and payment information. This is where healthcare and technology begin working together. Now comes an important question: who is actually paying for the medicine? The patient might pay cash, use private insurance, use a government healthcare program, or receive another type of coverage. The answer can dramatically change the economics. If the patient pays cash, the transaction can be relatively straightforward. The pharmacy sells the medication directly to the patient. But even here, the pharmacy must consider what it paid for the medicine and what it costs to dispense it. With insurance, things become more complicated. The pharmacy submits a claim electronically. That claim is processed through the patient's prescription benefit system, and the pharmacy learns how much it is expected to receive. Now imagine a medicine with a $100 price attached to it. You might assume the pharmacy receives the entire $100. But that assumption can be completely wrong because the final payment depends on the specific arrangement behind the prescription. Prescription drug pricing isn't like buying a bottle of water. There can be negotiated rates, insurance agreements, benefit rules, discounts, and different reimbursement arrangements. The amount the patient pays and the amount the pharmacy receives can be different. One of the most important organizations in this system is the Pharmacy Benefit Manager, or PBM. PBMs help manage prescription drug benefits and can play a major role in determining how pharmacies, insurers, and drug manufacturers interact. A PBM can process prescription claims, manage pharmacy networks, negotiate certain drug arrangements, and help insurers manage prescription benefits. This puts PBMs in an important position within the pharmaceutical supply chain. Think of the system as a giant negotiation. Different companies want different things. Pharmacies want sustainable reimbursement. Insurers want to control costs. And manufacturers want their products to remain competitive and accessible. PBMs and insurers can also establish networks of pharmacies. A pharmacy inside a particular network may receive prescription business from that plan. So being part of a major network can be extremely important for a pharmacy's survival. But before a medicine reaches any pharmacy, someone has to make it. Pharmaceutical manufacturers invest in research, laboratories, factories, employees, testing, packaging, and distribution to turn scientific discoveries into commercial medicines. The journey can begin inside a laboratory. Scientists test potential compounds, study how they work, and investigate whether they could eventually become useful treatments. This process can take years and requires significant investment. A successful medicine doesn't appear overnight. Researchers may spend years moving from early experiments to clinical development and regulatory approval. During that time, the company is spending money without knowing whether the final product will succeed. And many potential medicines never become successful products. Some fail during research or testing, while others may not become commercially viable. The successful medicines must exist within an industry carrying the risk of all those failures. Once a medicine is approved, it still has to be produced. Factories require specialized equipment, workers, quality control, packaging, energy, security, and regulatory compliance. Manufacturing a medicine is far more complicated than simply filling a bottle. After manufacturing, the medicine begins its journey through the distribution system. Large quantities are packaged and transported toward distribution centers. From there, individual pharmacies can receive the products they need. This is where pharmaceutical wholesalers become important. Instead of every pharmacy buying directly from thousands of manufacturers, wholesalers purchase and distribute enormous quantities of medication. They essentially help organize the physical flow of medicines. Imagine one enormous warehouse connected to hundreds or thousands of pharmacies. That's the scale of modern pharmaceutical distribution. Orders can be processed, packaged, tracked, and delivered through a highly organized logistics network. Eventually, a delivery truck arrives at the pharmacy. Workers unload boxes containing medications and other products. The pharmacy now has inventory available to fill prescriptions, but purchasing that inventory has already required significant capital. Inside the pharmacy, inventory must be carefully managed. Pharmacists and technicians need to know which medicines are available, how many are left, and when more should be ordered. Running out of important medications can create serious problems. A pharmacy may have thousands of different products. Some medicines are extremely common, while others might only be needed occasionally. Managing all of this inventory is a major operational challenge. Popular medicines move quickly. A pharmacy may dispense certain products every day, meaning inventory needs to be continuously replenished. Predictable demand makes these products easier to manage. Other medications may be needed only occasionally. Some can also be extremely expensive. A pharmacy has to decide whether keeping these products in stock is financially worthwhile while still making sure patients can access them. When products sit on shelves for long periods, the pharmacy has money tied up in inventory. The longer products remain unsold, the greater the possibility that demand changes or the medication reaches its expiration date. Expired inventory creates a direct financial problem. The pharmacy paid money to acquire that product, but it can no longer sell it normally. This is why inventory management isn't just about having enough products, it is about having the right products. Pharmacies constantly balance two risks. Too little inventory can mean lost sales and unhappy patients. Too much inventory ties up money and increases waste. The goal is to maintain enough stock without unnecessarily locking up capital. And at the center of all this is the pharmacist. Pharmacists are highly trained professionals responsible for much more than handing over medicine. Their work combines healthcare knowledge, technology, safety checks, and customer service. A pharmacist may review prescriptions, check doses, identify potential problems, communicate with doctors, answer patient questions, and supervise technicians. The actual dispensing process is only one part of the job. Before a medication reaches the patient, the pharmacist may need to check for potential interactions or other concerns. This is an important safety function because different medications can sometimes create serious problems when combined. Sometimes a prescription requires clarification. The pharmacist may contact the doctor's office to confirm information or discuss an issue. These interactions take time, and that time is part of the pharmacy's operating cost. Pharmacy technicians also play an important role. They may enter information, prepare prescriptions, manage inventory, answer phones, and handle many routine tasks while pharmacists focus on responsibilities requiring professional judgment. All of this requires employees, and employees cost money. Wages, benefits, training, and scheduling can become some of the largest expenses for a pharmacy. The business has to balance staffing levels with prescription demand. Too few employees can create long waiting times and increase pressure on the pharmacy team. Too many employees can make the business more expensive to operate. So pharmacies constantly search for the right balance between service and cost. Imagine hundreds or thousands of prescriptions moving through the pharmacy every week. Each one requires processing, verification, preparation, and documentation. Even small inefficiencies can become expensive when repeated thousands of times. Sometimes the computer returns an unexpected result. The insurance claim is rejected. Now someone has to investigate. The pharmacy may need additional information, a different authorization, or communication with the insurance system before the prescription can be completed. This helps explain why two people can sometimes pay different amounts for the same medicine. Their insurance coverage, benefit design, discounts, and payment arrangements may be different, even though the medication itself is identical. One customer might pay cash while another uses insurance. The two transactions can produce very different prices and reimbursement outcomes. That's why simply looking at the price on the shelf doesn't tell the whole economic story. The same medicine can move through several pricing channels. Insurance arrangements, pharmacy benefit systems, discount programs, and cash purchases can all create different economic outcomes. There isn't always one universal price. Because PBMs sit in the middle of prescription benefit systems, their decisions can have significant effects on pharmacies and patients. Their role is one reason the pharmaceutical supply chain is much more complicated than traditional retail. Some insurance plans have preferred pharmacy networks. Customers may receive better benefits when using certain pharmacies. For a pharmacy, being part of an important network can therefore bring a large amount of prescription volume. But losing network access can be a serious problem. If customers are encouraged to use another pharmacy by their insurance plan, a location could suddenly lose prescription volume that can dramatically change its financial situation. Here's another important lesson. A busy pharmacy isn't automatically a profitable pharmacy. A store can have long lines and thousands of transactions while still dealing with high labor costs, expensive rent, and low margins. High prescription volume can still be valuable because small margins can add up across many transactions. But the pharmacy must process those prescriptions efficiently enough that the economics remain sustainable. Behind every prescription are operating expenses: rent, salaries, utilities, insurance, software, equipment, inventory, security, compliance, and many other costs must be paid before the owner can calculate true profit. This is why the front of many pharmacies contains much more than medicine. You may find toothpaste, shampoo, skincare products, vitamins, snacks, household products, and other everyday items. A customer might enter the pharmacy to pick up a prescription, then remember they need toothpaste or shampoo. That single visit can therefore create several revenue opportunities for the pharmacy. Retail products can have a simpler economic structure. The pharmacy purchases the product from a supplier, places it on the shelf, and sells it to the customer. The difference between those prices contributes to gross margin. People don't always choose a pharmacy because it has the lowest price. Convenience matters. If a pharmacy is nearby, open late, and easy to access, customers may be willing to pay more for that convenience. Imagine needing medicine late at night. You probably aren't comparing dozens of stores to save 50 cents. You want the medicine quickly. That urgency creates economic value. and pharmacies can provide that convenience. Location is therefore extremely important. Pharmacies want to be accessible to residential neighborhoods, medical offices, hospitals, shopping areas, and major roads, but good locations can also be expensive. A premium location can bring more customers, but it can also come with higher rent. The pharmacy has to determine whether the additional business generated by that location is enough to justify the additional operating cost. This is a classic economic trade-off. More traffic can mean more revenue, but higher rent reduces profit. The best location isn't necessarily the busiest one. It's the one where the economics make the most sense. Now consider generic drugs. When competition enters the market after brand name exclusivity changes, multiple manufacturers can produce equivalent versions of certain medicines. Competition can put downward pressure on prices. When several manufacturers compete for the same market, buyers have more choices. This can reduce prices and change the economics for manufacturers, insurers, wholesalers, and pharmacies throughout the supply chain. At the opposite end are specialty medicines. These products may be expensive, require special storage, or involve additional services. A small number of prescriptions can represent a very large amount of money. Imagine a patient receiving a medication worth thousands of dollars. The sticker price may look enormous, but the pharmacy's actual economics still depend on acquisition cost, reimbursement, contracts, and the costs involved in handling that medication. Expensive inventory also creates financial risk. If a pharmacy purchases a costly medicine and then faces a reimbursement problem, a significant amount of money can become tied up. High revenue doesn't automatically eliminate financial risk. This is why pharmacy management is partly a risk management business. Owners have to balance inventory, staffing, reimbursement, customer demand, regulations, and operating costs every single day. Technology has become essential to modern pharmacies. Computers, barcode scanners, electronic prescriptions, automated systems, and inventory software can help pharmacies process large numbers of transactions more efficiently. Inventory systems can track which products are available and when new supplies may be needed. Better information can reduce shortages, prevent excessive inventory, and help the pharmacy make smarter purchasing decisions. Electronic prescriptions also speed up communication. Instead of relying entirely on paper, doctors can send prescription information directly into digital systems. This reduces certain types of manual work and helps connect doctors with pharmacies. One of the most valuable things for a pharmacy is a repeat customer. Someone taking a long-term medication may return every month or every few weeks. Predictable repeat business is extremely valuable to a retailer. Think about one customer visiting the same pharmacy for several years. Every refill creates another transaction. Over time, that customer's total value can become much larger than the value of a single prescription. Convenience helps pharmacies keep these customers. Automatic refill programs, digital notifications, mobile apps, and easy prescription management reduce friction. The easier it is to refill medication, the easier it can be to maintain the relationship. Even a drive-through window has an economic purpose. It saves customers time and makes the pharmacy more convenient. If convenience encourages people to keep using the same pharmacy, it can support long-term customer retention. Pharmacies have also expanded into healthcare services such as vaccinations. These services can create additional revenue opportunities while making pharmacies more important healthcare access points in their communities. Independent pharmacies and large chains have different economic advantages. An independent pharmacy may offer personalized service and flexibility, while a large chain can benefit from purchasing power, technology investments, and a massive distribution network. So why would a pharmacy close even when it appears busy? Because customer traffic alone isn't enough. If reimbursement is weak, rent is high, staffing is expensive, or competition is intense, the location may not generate sustainable profit. Now we can see the entire picture. Medicine begins with research and manufacturing, moves through distribution, enters insurance and benefit systems, reaches the pharmacy, and finally reaches the patient. Money moves through the same ecosystem, and this brings us back to our biggest lesson. A pharmacy can process enormous amounts of money without keeping most of it. After inventory, employees' rent, technology, insurance, and other expenses, the actual profit can be much smaller. So the next time you pick up a prescription, remember what you're really participating in. It's not simply a customer buying a pill. It's a massive economic machine involving science, manufacturing, logistics, insurance, technology, healthcare professionals, and money all working together behind one small bottle.